Hey everyone, a nerd named Mark here, and it's time to go over episode 13 of King-Ohger. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm loving this show so much. And it's just, man, like, the balance, like, we're getting little comedy interjected in this show with some serious moments, and just the balance of everything is so good. This show, like, 13 episodes in, we are approaching, for me personally on the channel, the record of the longest I've been able to review a Super Sentai show as it airs, because I got up to episode 18 of Zenkaiger before I was like, you know what? I can't review this every week. I can't even watch this every week. And then I just went back and like binge watched it before the finale. Dawn Brothers, I think I made it like 5 episodes in. But this episode, like, my favorite thing is, like, this whole other time, like, Gira, we were like, oh, main character Gira, and I even brought up, like, how are we going to keep this story focused on Gira like this for, like, a whole season? And now we're 13 episodes in, and, like, Omi's barely in the episode. Like, this is the Jeremy show, okay? And I'm not mad at it, because it's going to make it that much more, like, dynamic when we get more focused on Gira, because right now, with everything going on, the main focus is Jeremy and just his interaction, like I said, continuing with the other kingdoms. This one was Nakosopo very heavily featured, and I like that a lot. And seeing now all these seeds planted, I know I use the seeds planted a lot, but that's how it is, like, you know, for even Geats and this, like, we get these, like, we're not getting handed the story, especially with Jeremy, because he's not telling everyone exactly what's going on. He's giving them the way he words everything, like, he wants you to figure things out on your own. Same with us, even though we get to kind of see it from, like, a viewer standpoint, we kind of figure it out as well. One of the things that comes to fruition, like, he gave Himeno Sasorine's soul gem last episode. This time, he gave Bata's soul gem over to Death Narok, and we also see from a couple episodes ago, the chameleon Bugnarok is still alive. So I was like, okay, this Bugnarok's still in the fray. I don't think we've had any of the ones that seem to be defeated come back. They're usually just one episode, so he's not a monster of the week, which is cool. One thing, we know Jeremy's main character, he's in the OP video. Yeah, so it's official. But like I said, Yanma's backstory and Nakosopo is is very heavily featured in this. Like, we find out because Yanma's like, hey, you know, what's all this? What's this tech you got? I didn't design this. Like, you know, and he questions its origins. And even his retainer, whose name I always forget, he tries to look at his little spray canister and he gets hit with fire, but we find out it doesn't actually burn. It's basically an illusion. So I was like, oh, kind of like magic. And for the backstory, you know, they're like, hey, you should come to the factory with us. Like, you know, and we got some interesting physical contact between Yanma's retainer and Jeremy, which I'm sure the internet is going to have a field day with. And I'm pretty sure we got some fanfic writers already working on this as we speak. I will be avoiding it because, listen, y'all do some weird shipping on the internet. I'm just sidebar, like Toku Twitter, like, y'all be shipping some weird things. I mean, hey, it's fan fiction. Do you? Me, not shipping nothing. I'll ship myself with Himeno, but that's about it. We already know my feelings. That's why we need another Himeno heavily focused episode, because anyways, so, you know, like I said, Gira does nothing in this episode. Barely. Like, his whole plan is he needs to find the greater guardian Shoe Gods, and Himeno says, hey, you can't go. You're going to be spotted, so they use their makeup magic to make him look like Sebastian. And that's honestly it. Like, really. You know, like I said, this is one of the things where, like, we're going to get more heavily focused on the kingdoms, hopefully in an individual episode manner. So maybe we'll get more Tofu. That's one of the kingdoms I really want to know more about. But So we get all these flashbacks because Kosopa used to be like a parts manufacturing kingdom. And we see in this flashback, Jane is with a young Yanma, and he's like, hey, you can get your first computer. All the parts are in this pile. You got to find it. Start from the bottom, work your way to the top. Kind of like, that whole motivational, like, you could start from the bottom and you can become the best, you know? And we find out that during the fury of the gods, a lot of damage was done to this kingdom. And I'm like, okay, we're still sprinkling the seeds about the fury of the gods. I want more of this. Like when we get big reveals of what happened in that time period, what was it, 15 years ago? I cannot wait. That is going to be some good ass storytelling. And we find out that Yanma, with just this computer that he built himself, rebuilt all of the kingdom. And I was like, damn, okay. And, Jeremy, who loves a good story, he loved that story so much that his spray canister, that means the world to him and can tell all these stories that he says, he lets Yanma analyze it. And Rackley's obviously hits up Yanma. He's like, give me Jeremy. I demand it or you're going to be a traitor. And this sets in motion some of the comedy in the episode because Yanma has this theory. He's like, well, he figures out that Jeremy's tech has the illusions. So he's going to make this big mat that you can sit on, like a big cushion that's like what they have in Tofu. And he's going to make it so when Rackley sits on it, it sets off a big fart and all these little visual effects. So it's basically a big whoopee cushion. And I was like, this is going to be bad. Because we get over to that point and, Jeremy and Rackley's, their interaction didn't really give too much information except Jeremy keeps questioning the history. He's like, what happened 2,000 years prior? Because, he says, Rackley's question what he knows. And he's like, I wrote it. It's all been recorded 2,000 years ago. But he brings up what predated that. Because it's very convenient. Out of nowhere, 2,000 years ago, this conflict just starts out of nowhere. But what predates that? And I'm like, that is a good question. Because now we have all these time periods that I want to know about. I want to know about 15 years ago. I want to know about 2,000 years ago when everything first started. And around the time, Jeremy was born. But then what happened before all that to lead to all that conflict? Because I'm like, these are all really good questions. And now I'm like, you have my attention. I'm curious now. And Yanma's friends and his retainer start bringing in this big cushion, and it's heavy. And before they go sit it down, it starts to fall because it's too heavy. Slips out of his hands, and it falls on the ground. And as his retainer is starting to fall on it, Yanma hits a picture-perfect Randy Orton-inspired drop kick. Wrestling fans know this. Randy Orton has a really good, accurate pinpoint drop kick. Yanma hits it, but he realizes he's now stuck hovering over the cushion and in slow motion lands right on it, and the farts go off and all the visuals. And I'm laughing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm laughing. I find this so amusing because it's a fart joke. Okay, listen. I don't care. I'm 37. I don't care how old I am, how young I am. I don't care what age I've ever been at in my life. A good fart joke gets a laugh out of me, just like Rackley's two assistants. Because the shorter one is laughing like crazy. And even the tall one kind of lets out a little bit of chuckle. And I'm just like, yep. And the thing is, we find out Yanma's retainer was this shape-shifting Bugnarok the whole time. And Yanma plays it off that this was a Bugnarok plan the whole time, and he goes after him. And I'm just like, okay. But I said there's some serious moments in this, because Jeremy, when the cushion goes off in the snap, his spray canister slides out from underneath it, and Jeremy sees it. And you could see he's not happy about this, because this was something important to him, and it was used as basically a prank and not taken seriously. And while Yanma's fighting our monster and everyone else is already henching and is fighting the Bugnarok minus Gira, who's still hidden as Sebastian. And like I said, this is not the Gira episode. This is so like he's kind of just almost non-existent to an extent. But Jeremy is not happy about this. And he claims he offered up his trust, and this is what it gets him. And he transforms and starts beating Yanma. And he's mad because it's revealed this is a memento from his mother. And he gave them the soul gems to make amends with everyone. You know, and Gira, he's hurt enough. He finally starts fighting, and that doesn't last well because Gira gets his ass. Like, everyone gets their ass beat, honestly, by Jeremy. But, we finally find some more motivation for why Jeremy was doing specific things. He gave, humans, Bugnarok, and himself, each one of them has one of the greater guardian soul gems because he wanted them to all be equals. So they all shared this power together. See, he really wants to unite everyone, not by force. Like, Heracles is like a tyrant about it. He wants everyone to swear fealty to him and this and that. But Jeremy just wants to be kind of like that leader that everyone is happy with, not forcing them by fear or like this and that. And I was like, I like that. And well, Jeremy's just beating everyone up. Like, he's literally taking all their Ohsama calibers, and I'm like, damn, okay. And he even takes the soul gem from Himeno and then the other one from Death Narok's assistant. So now he has all 3 soul gems again. And we see our monster of the week, so to speak, not really, get giant with other Bugnarok, and I'm like, are we getting God Tarantula? Are we getting God Tarantula finally? And we did, and it looked so good. I was like, man, and the whole time I'm like, please transform, please. We've seen the toys, I've done videos about it, I already pre-ordered it. I need to see it transform in the show. We did not get that though, but it was one of the cool things was God Tarantula was able to control the greater guardians by them having web attached to the back of them, and he's just making easy work of everybody. And after defeating everyone, Jeremy escapes and goes into the heavens, basically starting his own kingdom up there, so to speak. I don't know what's really going on up there. Hopefully we'll find out in the next episode. But we find out this Bugnarok, the chameleon one, actually is half and half, just like Jeremy. It's insinuated because Jeremy did not defeat him, he actually saved him. And he says, you're just like him. And he's like, I think, and he even tells Jeremy, I think you would be a great ruler for all of Terra. And so I was like, oh, so he's actually forming his own little crew now. And I was like, this is intriguing. I like this episode so much. There was so much going on. I loved more of that backstory to Yanma and Akosapa. Like I said, I'm like, Shugenon, I would like some more history of because that was like the first kingdom. So I want to know really like stuff from that. But the Fury of the Gods and that, I really want to know more about Tofu. That's the main thing I want to know. This was a great episode. I loved it. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. And that's it for the video. I will see you guys in the next one.